Selena Hartwell stood before the full-length mirror in their bedroom, adjusting the emerald dress that hugged her curves perfectly. Her golden blonde waves cascaded over her shoulders, and she couldn't help but touch the soft fur of her fox-like ears, ensuring they sat just right. Her tail, thick and luxurious with white-tipped fur, swayed nervously behind her as she applied the final touches of lipstick. "You look beautiful," Ethan Rivers said from the doorway, his eyes filled with admiration. He crossed the room and wrapped his arms around her waist, pulling her close. Selena leaned into his embrace, her tail curling around his leg affectionately. "It's just a college reunion, Ethan," she said softly, though her heart raced with unexpected anticipation. "I'll be home before midnight." Ethan kissed her neck gently, his fingers tracing the soft fur along her spine. "I'll be waiting," he whispered. "Maybe we can continue this when you get back." Selena turned in his arms, pressing her lips to his in a tender kiss. "I'd like that," she promised, her cat-like eyes sparkling with genuine affection. The reunion was held at the Grand Riverside Hotel, where chandeliers sparkled and old classmates mingled with champagne glasses. Selena's ears perked up at familiar voices, and her tail swished with excitement as she reconnected with old friends. Then she saw him, Derek Cole, standing by the bar with that same confident smile that had once made her heart skip. "Selena," Derek's voice was warm, inviting. "You look absolutely stunning, even more beautiful than I remember." Her cheeks flushed beneath her golden fur as he approached. Derek had always known how to make her feel special, how to look at her as if she were the only woman in the room. They talked for hours, reminiscing about college days, laughing at old memories, and slowly, dangerously, the conversation turned more intimate. "I've thought about you often," Derek admitted, his hand brushing against hers, "about what we had, what we could have been." Selena's tail twitched uncertainly. She knew she should pull away, mention Ethan, but Derek's attention felt intoxicating after years of comfortable, predictable marriage. When he suggested they meet for coffee the following week, she found herself saying yes, ignoring the small voice of warning in her mind. The coffee meeting turned into lunch, and lunch evolved into afternoon walks through the city park. Selena found herself lying to Ethan, claiming extra work projects and meetings with old friends. Each deception came easier than the last, and with every secret encounter, Derek drew her deeper into his web of charm. One rainy afternoon, Derek invited her to his downtown apartment. Selena's tail betrayed her nervousness, twitching rapidly as she stepped inside. The space was modern and masculine, nothing like the warm home she shared with Ethan. "I've missed this," Derek murmured, stepping close. His fingers traced along her jawline, then moved to scratch gently behind her sensitive fox ears. Selena shivered at the touch, her resolve weakening. "I've missed you, Selena." Before she could respond, his lips claimed hers in a passionate kiss that ignited something she'd thought long dormant. Her arms wrapped around his neck as he lifted her, carrying her toward the bedroom. The afternoon dissolved into stolen passion. Her blonde waves spread across his pillows, her tail entwined with his legs as they explored each other with desperate urgency. Afterward, guilt crashed over her like a tidal wave. Selena dressed quickly, her hands trembling as she buttoned her blouse. "This was a mistake," she whispered, though even as she said it, she knew she would return. Meanwhile, Ethan had begun noticing changes. Selena came home later, her scent different, carrying traces of cologne that wasn't his. Her phone was constantly face down on the table, and she flinched when he touched her unexpectedly. Her tail, once so expressive around him, now remained carefully still, guarded. One evening, he gently confronted her. "Is everything all right? You seem distant lately." Selena's ears flattened slightly against her head, a telltale sign of distress. "Just stressed with work," she lied, avoiding his gaze. "Nothing to worry about." But Ethan did worry.
That night, as she slept beside him, he noticed her phone light up with a message. The preview read, "Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Same place, D." His heart sank, but instead of waking her in anger, Ethan made a decision. He would find the truth, and then he would decide what to do with it.
Ethan spent the following week quietly observing. He noticed the pattern. Every Tuesday and Thursday afternoon, Selena claimed to have extended meetings. Her tail would swish with barely contained excitement as she left the house, only to return hours later with her ears drooping, weighted by guilt. On Thursday evening, Ethan followed her. His heart pounded as he watched Selena enter the modern apartment building downtown. He waited in his car, wrestling with the decision to confront them immediately or gather more evidence. An hour passed, then two. When the lights in a third-floor apartment dimmed, Ethan made his choice. He entered the building, found the apartment number, and used his phone to record as he knocked firmly on the door. Derek answered, shirtless and disheveled, his expression shifting from confusion to alarm when he recognized Ethan. "Where's Selena?" Ethan's voice was eerily calm. Before Derek could respond, Selena appeared behind him, hastily wrapped in a silk robe, her blonde hair tousled, her tail tucked fearfully between her legs. Her cat-like eyes widened in horror as she saw her husband standing in the doorway. "Ethan, I can explain," she started, her voice breaking. "Can you?" Ethan interrupted, his calm demeanor more frightening than any outburst. "Please, explain how the woman I've loved and cherished for 8 years ends up in another man's apartment, in his robe, looking like that." Selena's ears flattened completely against her head, tears streaming down her face. "I'm so sorry. I never meant for this to happen. It was stupid and selfish and—" "Save it," Ethan said quietly. He looked at Derek with cold contempt. "Enjoy your conquest. I hope she was worth destroying a marriage over." He turned to leave, but Selena grabbed his arm, her claws extending slightly in desperation. "Please, Ethan, don't go. I love you. This was a horrible mistake." Ethan gently removed her hand, his eyes filled with profound sadness. "You made your choice, Selena. Now I'm making mine. I'll have my lawyer contact you about the divorce papers." As he walked away, Selena collapsed against the doorframe, her tail wrapped around herself, realizing too late what she had destroyed. Derek reached for her, but she pushed him away, the fantasy of their affair crumbling into bitter reality. The following days were torture. Ethan moved to a hotel, refusing to answer Selena's desperate calls and messages. Meanwhile, he set his plan in motion, not one of revenge, but of clarity and self-respect. He contacted their mutual friends, not to gossip, but to explain calmly that they were separating. He hired the best divorce attorney in the city and began separating their finances. Most importantly, he started seeing a therapist to process his pain in healthy ways rather than letting it consume him. Selena, on the other hand, found her world unraveling. Derek, sensing the affair had lost its thrill now that it was exposed, became distant. Her friends, learning the truth, offered sympathy but also disappointment. Her tail lost its shine, hanging limply, and her once vibrant ears drooped constantly. One evening, 3 weeks after the discovery, Ethan agreed to meet her at a neutral cafe to discuss the divorce details. Selena arrived early, her appearance transformed by sleepless nights and guilt. Her blonde waves were pulled back messily, and her eyes were red-rimmed. When Ethan arrived, looking composed and stronger than she'd ever seen him, Selena's heart broke anew. He sat across from her, maintaining professional distance. "I need you to understand something," Selena began, her voice trembling. "What I did was unforgivable. I threw away the best thing in my life for a shallow fantasy. Derek meant nothing. He was just an echo of who I used to be, and I was stupid enough to chase that instead of appreciating the incredible man I had." Ethan listened without interruption, his expression unreadable. "I'm not asking for forgiveness," Selena continued, her tears flowing freely now. "I don't deserve it, but I need you to know that losing you has shown me what true love was. You loved me unconditionally, supported my dreams, made me feel cherished every single day, and I destroyed that for momentary excitement and ego." She reached across the table, her hand trembling. "If there's even the smallest chance, the tiniest possibility that we could rebuild what I broke, I'll spend the rest of my life proving I'm worthy of your trust again. But if not, I'll accept that this is the consequence of my actions." Ethan looked at her extended hand, then into her desperate, hopeful eyes, considering his response carefully.
Ethan didn't take her hand immediately. Instead, he leaned back, studying the woman he'd loved for so long, broken, genuine, and finally seeing clearly what she'd risked. "Selena, I won't lie and say this doesn't hurt. You shattered my trust, my sense of security in us. But I've spent these weeks thinking, and I realized something important." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "I still love you. That's the damn frustrating truth. But love alone isn't enough anymore." Her ears perked up slightly, hope flickering in her eyes. "If we're going to have any chance," Ethan continued, "things need to change fundamentally. Couples therapy, complete transparency, and time. Lots of time. This won't be quick or easy, and there will be days I'll resent you. Can you handle that?" Selena nodded vigorously, her tail beginning to lift from its defeated position. "Anything, everything. I'll do whatever it takes." They started slowly. Therapy sessions twice a week, where Selena confronted the insecurities and attention-seeking that had led her astray. Ethan worked through his pain and rebuilt his boundaries. They lived separately for 2 months, dating again like they had in the beginning, learning each other anew. One evening, 6 months after the discovery, Ethan invited Selena to their old home for dinner. She arrived nervous, her blonde waves freshly styled, wearing the same emerald dress from that fateful reunion night. Ethan greeted her with a genuine smile, and throughout dinner they laughed together for the first time in months. After dessert, he took her hand and led her to the bedroom they'd once shared. "I'm ready to try again," he whispered, cupping her face gently. "Really try." Selena's response was a passionate kiss, years of love and months of longing pouring into it. They made love slowly, intimately, rediscovering each other with renewed appreciation. Her tail wrapped around him as he held her close, whispering promises of devotion and honesty. Afterward, curled together in the darkness, Selena traced patterns on his chest. "I'll never take this for granted again," she vowed. Ethan kissed her forehead, her soft ears, breathing in her familiar scent. "Neither will I. We both get a second chance. Let's not waste it." Together, they began rebuilding their marriage, understanding that true love sometimes requires breaking completely before it can be made whole again, stronger, deeper, and infinitely more precious.